So these are the critical things about thinking, which brings us to another question. And the question is, what is your most valuable financial asset? Well, knowledge, that's all true, but the answer is your earning ability. It's your ability to earn money is your most valuable financial asset. Unless you're born rich or you're born into a situation where you have lots of money, most of us start off with usually nothing. Many of us start off poor. We come from limited backgrounds. That's the nature of the successful business person. Is they say that in adult life, we are driven most in adult life to compensate for the lack that we felt as children. Whatever lack that we felt or deficiency we felt as children, we're unconsciously motivated to compensate for that as adults. So many of the most successful business people came from humble backgrounds. Not all of them, but most of them. Most of the fortunes, the millionaires and billionaires today are first generation. They started with nothing. And then, because they had this internal drive, they got smarter and more experienced, and they had talents and skills, and today they're wealthy. So your earning ability is your most valuable financial asset. Economists are now calling this your earning power. So if you earn $50,000 a year, your earning power is $50,000 a year. It's usually 90% or more of your financial assets. If you have a house or a car or some savings, then that's part of your financial assets. But basically, most of what we have is our earning ability. So you could lose your job and lose your house and your car and your business, which happens all the time. But if you could be left standing there with the ability to earn money, you could go back into the marketplace and start to pump tens of thousands of dollars or more into your life by simply applying your earning ability to your world. And most people ignore their earning ability. It's almost like walking past a brick or a bag on the sidewalk. They just walk past it and they say, oh, they don't realize this is the most precious thing you have. And your earning ability is either increasing or decreasing. Your earning ability does not remain the same. It's either going up because you're upgrading your skills continually, or it's going down because your skills are becoming obsolete in a fast-changing world. We look at public companies. How is a public company evaluated? Well, one of the evaluations is called the price-earnings ratio. Isn't that right? So you say a company is worth this much per share because of its earnings per share. The earning ability of a company is what determines the value of the stock, determines the value of the company. When Apple is sailing, it becomes the most valuable company in the world. When Samsung comes out and cuts into their sales and Apple's sales level off, its earning ability levels off and the stock begins to decline. So one of the things you need to do is see yourself as a company, and see yourself as a company with one person and with one share of stock. Now, if you were a company and you were evaluating yourself on the basis of your earning ability, or you wanted to sell stock in your personal company to someone else, would you say that you should invest in this stock yourself? Because this is a growth stock. This is going up in value every single week and every month. This is developing new skills and capabilities. If it's earning this much, if my company, me, is earning this much this year, next year it will be earning 50% more. Because the critical factor that determines the growth of stock prices is anticipated increases in earning ability. Isn't that right? So see yourself as a company and ask yourself, am I a growth stock? Would I sell myself to old people and children? Would I sell myself to a pension fund as being a really safe, solid investment that's going up in value all the time? Now, you don't go up in value accidentally. You go up in value deliberately in a competitive market. So how is it that companies increase their value? Well, mostly they increase it two things. One is R&D, research and development. They're constantly developing new products and services that compete well in our marketplace so they can sell more of them. The companies that are most successful are the ones that are constantly coming out with new and better products and services, and they're jumping over their competition. Well, what is R&D personally? Personally, R&D is upgrading your skills, developing the one skill that you need at this time to move ahead, and then the next skill, and becoming a continual learner. So you're constantly investing time and money in yourself in getting better and better to increase your earning ability. So a good question you always ask is, what one skill would help me to double my income faster than any other skill? And then you work on that. Now, you can't learn everything, so just pick one thing at a time. We say be a sniper. You know what the motto in sniper school is? One shot, one kill. One shot, one kill. That's how they teach snipers. They have it on television all the time. And you need to be the same thing. One shot, one kill. Warren Buffett was at a dinner party with Bill Gates and Bill Gates Sr. And they were talking together because Bill Gates and Warren Buffett are good friends, have been for a long time. And Bill Gates' father, very, very successful businessman in Seattle. They were at a dinner party, and the three of them were talking, chatting away, and somebody came up to them and asked them a question. And he said, "Excuse me, gentlemen, these are two of the 5 richest men in the world. Both started with nothing, by the way, started at zero. Warren Buffett started with $2,000 that he earned by delivering newspapers when he was 14, 15, and 16, and is now, his company is worth $360 billion, and his company's made $24 billion last year. Not bad for a career." So anyway, so they came up to him and they said, "Gentlemen, excuse me for interrupting you, but we've just been noticing you talking, and we had a question for you. What would you say is the most important skill for success?" And they all three turned to him and said the same word simultaneously: focus. Focus is the most important requirement for success. With focus, you can do anything, and without focus, you can do nothing. Focus is the key to success. But all three said it simultaneously without asking each other. Focus. And it's really interesting because I began teaching this concept back in the year 2000. I began a coaching and mentoring program that I called Focal Point coaching. You know, the focal point is where if you hold a magnifying glass in a certain way, it'll have a focal point that burns, and you can burn through things. Well, so I called it Focal Point. And I taught thousands of business owners, and have still all over the world in multiple languages, how they can look at each part of their business and focus on the one thing in each area that they can do right now that will have the greatest positive impact. Everything else they do has a lesser impact or no impact. And your ability to select the one thing that can have the greatest impact on your life at any time and focus is the key to your success. That's why I'm so concerned about I call it the attraction of distraction. It is so disturbing because it guarantees failure in life. You actually become addicted to distraction and you can't stop it. You're just like a dope addict. You've got to have your distraction. And if you are addicted to distraction, you can't focus. And if you can't focus, you haven't got a chance against someone who can. And so therefore, I'm hitting this a little bit hard, but I want you to think about it because most people slip into this attraction of distraction and we're not even aware of it. Many of you are a little bit surprised when I talk about it because you hadn't even really thought about it. You hadn't even really thought about how much time you spend during the day distracted. And the answer is about 80%. And the rest of the time, by the end of the day, you're too tired to do anything worthwhile, to do the really important things that have big potential consequences. So your earning ability is your most important quality. And your earning ability means developing one skill at a time that can help you the most to get the most important results that determine your success and your happiness. Now here's the great payoff, is they say that happiness is the progressive realization of a worthy goal or ideal. When you actually feel yourself moving progressively toward achieving something that's important to you, you feel happy. And your brain releases endorphins. Now endorphins are different from dopamines, but endorphins are nature's happy drug. They make you happy. Endorphins make you more creative, they make you calmer, they make you more personable, they make you more focused, and they give you more energy. So people who have high levels of endorphins are very healthy. They sleep well, they're very personable, they're creative all the time, and you can actually develop a positive addiction to endorphins. And the way you do that is you work on things that are moving you toward your goals on a regular basis. And so every day you feel this forward progress, this forward momentum. Human beings are designed so that we're only happy when we feel effective, when we feel that we are accomplishing something, when we feel productive, when we feel valuable. There's one of the challenges we have with welfare in any country that has it, but especially in the US, is people can very quickly get addicted to welfare, but by becoming addicted to welfare and free money, they become angry, they develop feelings of inferiority, they become alcoholic, all the joy in life is gone when they're not doing something productive, when they're not contributing. The rule is that your self-esteem and self-confidence are largely determined by the degree to which you feel you are putting more in than you're getting back out. And it's a very simple concept, is you feel that you're actually contributing more than you're getting. If you're at a job and you feel that you're not contributing as much as they're paying you, you feel really angry. It seems to have a deep negative effect on your personality. But when you feel that you're doing a great job, that you're really making a difference or a contribution, you feel wonderful about yourself. And the only way that you can achieve that is by having clear goals and then focus. Well, so I began to study management when I got into business many years ago, and I've read 6,000 books. I've studied an average of 3 hours a day for 50 years. I hate to say it, 50 years, but about 150,000 hours. I've read every conceivable book I possibly could and articles, and I'm still reading and learning great stuff. Some of the best thinkers in the world are writing today in books and articles and talking about breakthroughs, some of the things we just talked about now, thinking skills, thinking fast and slow, short and long-term thinking, and so on. Well, over the years, I've accumulated what I call the Big Seven, and these are the 7 roles and goals or most important responsibilities of leaders. And they're the most important things in business. And so I want to just share the 7 with you. And I was asked to give you a 1,000% formula, how to increase your income by 10 times. And I'll give you that as well. Plus, finally, the one quality that is most important for success, which was just repeated in a study of 500 of the fastest growing companies in the world. And they analyzed the personality profiles of the heads of these companies. One of the companies grew 42,000% in the last 3 years. And it's a company that produces tablets for children to help them keep on track with their homework. And parents are buying them with both hands. And they grew 42,000% in 3 years. Is that a good growth rate? Average company grew 5, 6, 7, 800% in 3 years. So the ones down in the lower levels of this survey. But the top companies were growing thousands and 10,000 and 20,000% in a 3-year period. Unbelievable. Anyway, what they found the quality that was most responsible for the success of the CEOs and top people in each of these businesses, and I'll give it to you in a second. Don't let me forget. That'll keep you in your seats. So what I found was that there were 7 critical responsibilities of leaders in businesses of any size. And these are like ingredients in a recipe for a fine dish. If you're missing any one of the ingredients, the dish can fail. As a matter of fact, if you miss any one of the ingredients, the business can fail, or at least can achieve at a far lower level than it's truly capable of. So let's begin. Number 1 is to set and achieve business goals. This is the most important thing that you do as a leader in your business and in your life, is to set and achieve business goals. Everything is your ability to achieve goals. And so we have to start off with my favorite word is clarity. What exactly are the business goals that you want to achieve, and how do you measure them, and what is your deadline for achieving them? And it is amazing how many business people and entrepreneurs avoid this question because they're afraid that they may not achieve the goal to the degree to which they can measure it and on that deadline. So they don't even want to set the goal at all. The major reason I found when I began studying human success 35 years ago, the major reason people don't set goals is that they're afraid they may fail. And they don't like the feeling of failure, so they don't set them at all. And so instead of setting very clear goals and making plans to achieve them, they just work every day. And they sort of hope that everything will be fine. They just hope it'll be fine. But successful people set and achieve goals, and they know what their goals are, and every person in the business knows what their specific goals are, which contribute to achieving the goals of the company. And the number 1 word is clarity. Be absolutely clear about your goals, your sales goals, your income goals, your profitability goals, your profit margin goals, your growth goals, your customer acquisition goals. Is be very clear about your goals and then make plans to achieve them, and a plan is merely a list of activities organized by sequence. What do you do first? What do you do second? What do you do third? And then set deadlines. When am I going to achieve this goal? Now don't worry about missing the deadline or failing at achieving the goal. Failure is far more common in business than success. But every single time you set a goal and a schedule and a plan and you fail at it, you learn something valuable that helps you to be more successful next time. In my earlier years, I had some military experience. Just leave it at that. And one of the things I learned was how to shoot a mortar. And I've always used this as an analogy. And we learned about mortars, both how to shoot them and what to do if somebody was shooting mortars at you. And here's what we found, is that a mortar man, a really good mortar man, is almost like a sniper. They're very, very accurate. What they would do is they would see a cluster of enemy troops or a target, and it would be, let's say, 1,000 yards away. And a mortar tube, as you know, is at an angle. And you drop the mortar shell down, and as it hits the bottom, it's shot off. And so it goes up and comes down. And the angle of the tube determines where the mortar shell goes up or down, the distance it flies, and so on. So anyway, so what they would do is they would estimate that the target is about 1,000 yards away, or say 1,000 meters. And so they would adjust the gauge, there's a gauge on the side, to 1,200 meters. And then they would shoot, boom. And they would watch to see where the shell came down. And then they would adjust the mortar shell back to 900 meters. And they'd fire again, boom. And adjust to see to where it came down. And then they would use those 2 points and adjust the mortar and fire again. And they could drop a mortar down a chimney of a house. They could drop a mortar on a foxhole. The third shot, the third mortar, would be as accurate, on pinpoint accuracy, like a sniper. So what we were taught is that if somebody shoots at you with a mortar and it goes over your head, you think, boy, that guy's a real dummy. No, start moving. Start moving. Because the second one's going to come in front of you, and the third one will be on your head. So you would literally, when the first one came in, which was off target, you would start moving and move fast, because they could go boom, boom, boom. And within like 18 to 20 seconds, they could pinpoint you and drop the mortar on your head. Well, what does this mean in business? In business, it means what we do is we set a clear target, and we set a goal and a schedule, and then we shoot. And what happens is we overshoot, undershoot, we make mistakes. And then what do? You adjust. That's all. You just adjust. And you keep adjusting until finally you get to the point where it works. And so don't worry about making mistakes. There's nothing wrong with it, because everybody does it. The main thing is to learn from the mistake and adjust. Take in information and adjust until you're much more accurate. Big companies have used measures, and very, very tight measures, and they measure everything and constantly adjust the measures until they are producing products of superb quality 100% of the time, and they're selling millions of their product. When the iPhone came out, it was dismissed by companies like BlackBerry and Nokia as a toy. Nobody would ever buy it. It's a toy. It's for kids to play with and communicate with their friends. So, of course, those two companies are now gone. Great tragedy. Not really. But the point is, they experimented dramatically. They experimented hundreds of times to get the phone. And once they released the phone, it was virtually perfect. Sold 50 million sets the first year. Totally upended the entire world of telephones. Put the major telephone companies out of business within 5 years. Unbelievable. And then they brought out the iPad. Within a year of bringing out the iPad, one of the biggest bookstore chains in the world went bankrupt, because people who bought iPads, they immediately bought an average of 11 books. And they stopped going to bookstores. They could download the book in a matter of seconds at half price, and they stopped going to bookstores. And the book industry today, which I'm very involved in, is in desperation, because nobody's buying books. And if they do buy books, because of the power of distraction, they don't read them. Most people in this room haven't read a book from cover to cover in a long time. You may have bought the books, you may even have them on your iPads or as e-books, you may have them at home, but you don't read them. They're sort of like decorations. And you say, have you read that book? Yeah, I got it at home. That true? Come on, come on. Why? Because you're so distracted. At the end of the day, you're dumb, you've lost 10 IQ points, and you're exhausted. You can't read books. The weekend comes, you've got to read them. Anyway, so setting and achieve business goals. So what are your goals? And remember, clarity is the first word. Be absolutely clear about your goals, and make sure that each person who works in your company is clear about their goals as well, and how they will be measured, the number that you'll attach to them, and the schedule or deadline for achieving the goals. And then constantly make adjustments.